Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Rozucast. I am Arezu, and I am the host of Rozucast, and I am here with my co-host, Rozier. Hi.
Hi.
What is up?
The first English episode of Rozucast is up.
Nice. Nice. I kind of feel like it's really weird because
it feels weird. Like, I don't know. It's like, I know we're rolling in English and I'm very used to having presentations in English, but it kind of feels weird to speak English with you, maybe.
Yeah, because we're always having like all the conversations and all of the life stuff in Persian. So that's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, all the gossip, all the tea is always in Farsi. But it's also like the Persian, the episodes in Farsi. When we are taping, I'm completely blank for some terminologies in Farsi because I'm reading everything in English. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for this, and I kind of feel like it's like the other side of helping people, because the initiation of the whole thing, I mean, Rozucast was the intention of helping people with like a post PhD. What is that called?
I think it would be something like a PhD in social psychology.
Yeah, but what you're...
no, you don't say you have a postdoctorate.
Okay.
I don't think you say it in English, but you could
researcher.
Yes, you could say you're doing a postdoc. That's it.
Okay,
a postdoc and you are a researcher, basically.
Okay, so the term, I was like, that's really like Persian when our dad's expecting of us like a small teeny tiny education would suffice.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, I'm very excited to start this episode with a very interesting topic today. The topic for today is ADHD and be in a relationship with ADHD. So we're not going to focus on what ADHD is, basically, because I kind of feel like it's a ton of things and all of these papers and everything and YouTube videos that you can actually find. But we're going to focus on the relationship with a person who has ADHD today. So, and I kind of feel like it's really important to speak about such a thing, because most of the time you kind of feel like, okay, what is wrong with this relationship? And you don't even know what's happening. The important thing for today is that we will assume that that the partner in the relationship is being diagnosed with ADHD. So we don't have like any sort of assumptions or whatever. So we basically know. So I'm just gonna start with something. So as a lot of people would know, ADHD is like attention deficit very good English, I would say, for the first episode. The attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I would say like it's sort of a disorder.
But when you talk about ADHD, I mean, today it's kind of like self-explanatory when you use the word ADHD. But we should also be careful not to just label people again with ADHD just because we see some traits. And we should always be careful about how we use what we learn from media and podcasts. And
this is something that I actually wanted to mention, because it's like not every trait that you read on like the internet or whatever is ADHD.
Yeah, it's like 5 signs that you have
ADHD.
Yeah.
No. And then if you are actually thinking about like having some traits that are possibly ADHD, I kind of feel like you need to you need to go to therapy, and then what does it call, psychologist?
You need to be evaluated. Yeah.
And then it's not like you don't have to label yourself or your partner or whomever that you feel like that these people are having this trait. Yeah, it's definitely ADHD. No, that's not how it works. So that's what I meant by we already know in this episode. We're going to talk about this, that we already know, and this person has been diagnosed like professionally of ADHD. But I have a question here.
Yeah.
The thing is that I was reading about this topic, and then I know that a person has ADHD has a lot of stuff that they're dealing with, right? They're hyperactive all of a sudden, and then they go down, and it's like all of these things. They're love bombing at first, and they're not love bombing after a while. The thing is, I personally know that a relationship, like a relationship within its definition, it is that pulling and pushing effect and all of that work that needs to be done within the relationship. But being in a relationship with an ADHD person, it feels like the partner of an ADHD person has to do a lot of work, and a lot of understanding, and a lot of sacrifice, and a lot, and by a lot of, I mean a lot of excessive. Like it should be more than that, more than a normal human being. Like there are sacrifices in the relationship. There are compromise in the relationship, but then at the end of the day, for a partner of an ADHD, they need to do a lot more than they has to do.
Yeah.
And then how do they deal with that sort of thing? It seems frustrating and exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yesterday I was reading this qualitative paper on partners of people with ADHD. And the themes that, because when you do this qualitative analysis, you kind of get themes out of the interviews that you conduct with people. One of the themes was, I feel like I have another child. Many of them say that. And one of the other themes was, I feel like I am just carrying the whole burden of the relationship.
Yeah, but that's my main problem right now, is that if the partner is saying that I feel like I have another child, that means that you're mothering the relationship, but you should not be a mother in the relationship. That's what I mean. Because if you ended up being a mother, that's not how a relationship works. I mean, yes, you do have a little bit of a trait of mother because you are a woman. If we are like talking about like girls being in relationship with boys, but then it has a lot of contradicts. That's what I'm saying. And then I don't know how to deal with that, how to manage all of that thing.
You don't have to. It has some upsides too. It has many upsides.
Of course, it has a lot.
Doesn't have to be that hard. Yeah.
Why don't you tell me the upsides first?
Partners of people with ADHD, they are exposed to a lot of creativity. They are exposed to a lot of spontaneous decisions that could bring novelty to the relationship. So if a person with ADHD traits is actually a little bit consistent about, it's very contradictory to use consistent when it comes to people with ADHD, but if they're consistent with this sensation seeking and novelty seeking in the relationship, within the frame of the relationship, then they could bring a lot of new things into the relationship and always something exciting into the relationship. It could be exhausting for some people like me, but that's its upside of. And they're really good with children. It's very easy to co-parent with them, especially if you're the one who is, your parenting style is very this type of like serious. I'm not saying harsh, but like this type of serious parenting style, and a little bit like authoritarian parenting style. Then co-parenting with a person with ADHD that is fun, is good with kids, and they love it when the kids listen. It could be helpful. But yeah, the downside is that you would be co-parenting with a person with ADHD, and you are having a day on the beach, and suddenly your partner or the person that you're co-parenting with, instead of taking care of the child and watching the child, they're making their own sand house or sound castle on the beach, and they totally forgot that the child, for example, is going to the sea. That's the downside, for example, when it comes to co-parenting. But in the relationship, in the context of the relationship, it has different phases. It could be that the first 6 months of the relationship, because it's you are the object, you are the new object yourself, your type of this new addiction that they develop, because they also have this tendency for being addicted to different things. In this, like, how do you say, like the popular psychology, we say addictive personality. They have this addictive personality where they get addicted to things very fast. So
they have the tendency.
Yeah. So when you start the relationship with them, they are going to be like highly focused on you, over focused on you. And that's how you're like, oh my God, I'm in love. Head over the toe.
Head over heels.
Head over the heels. Yeah.
That was close though.
Yeah. What? How do you?
But that
What is that?
That was close though. I
that's that's how it is. And then the challenges start once you kind of feel like you have established the relationships, the relationship, and it starts by suddenly saying that, I don't know, you used to ask them to take the garbage out, but now every time it will be a fight about that. Like they used to do it happily, but now they're like, they're just not motivated to do it. They're just like focused on something else. And it's just annoying for them every time you tell them to take it. And you feel like they're lazy, like constantly lazy. It's not like something that happens, and you feel like a lot of mood swings all the time. You could mistake it with bipolar, but as we said in the beginning, we are thinking about people who already have ADHD. So just like, I don't know, maybe in the dating phase, I would suggest that people tell each other. It's like, if you have ADHD, just say it. Because there's so many people that do have the capacity to deal with it, and they would love it. Like, and there are so many different types of ADHD and ADD and Asperger traits, and they could be comorbid, actually happen at the same time with each other. So it's just to know if the dynamic that you're choosing and you're seeing it's going to work or not. So it's not like just hell at the end.
I'm not going to say it's hell, but I'm going to say that it will come with a lot of challenges. Well, personally,
it's the same with any disorders. Like, I don't know, if your relationship with me, I'm depressed, it's a lot of challenges.
Yeah, I'm not comparing it to anything, but is that it's maybe if it's not under control, I would say it's really hard to build like a long-term relationship, because as you mentioned, it's going to be, because the long-term relationship is that it needs to be, everything needs to have to has its own routine.
Oh, like that's boring for them.
Yeah, but then the thing is that if you are planning on a long-term relationship and living together, for example, it's really important that you have to have that sort of like routine in your life,
stability and routine.
Routine, and you need to do some task, and he or she has to do lots of like different sort of tasks.
Those are very boring for them. Yeah, but that's the thing. I would suggest that all relationships have their own challenges, but the problem when you are in a relationship with a person with ADHD is that they actually don't like challenges like that.
Then how do you?
They just get bored. Like when they are bored, they just, and the other thing is that they always look for shortcuts, and they always think that if they just wipe off the main problem, then the whole thing is gone. So once they see that there are some scratches in the relationship, they just think that if I break up and if I just leave and if I just start something new with another person,
everything is going to be
everything
fine.
will be fine.
Yeah, and I know.
So I would say something like, all relationships have their own challenges. You have to see if your dynamic matches. You have to see if you can make your dynamic work. Willingness and motivation, there are two things that just go hand in hand with each other. So if you can, in a way, it's a lot of brain training and it's a lot of training when it comes to a relationship with a person with ADHD. So, but if there is the slight chance or a slight motivation for staying in the relationship, there is a chance that you can make it actually a nice relationship and just work on those ADHD traits. But the problem with people with ADHD is that they always look for the easy way out.
The emotional whiplash of the hyper focus and distraction. Like sometimes they are like overly focused on some things and
they just forget about their partners and their relationship. It's just not the priority anymore.
Yeah, well, okay, I would say suppose that you were in this sort of a relationship where your partner was like hyper focused on you. No, let's just say that they were hyper focused on something else. Like, yeah, maybe doing something in the house and whatever, and then they will ending up like ignoring you. And then it will be the opposite. You're getting some attention, like getting a lot of attention from them, and then all of a sudden they will like migrate that sort of attention.
Yeah.
Isn't that like hard for you? Like, well, supposedly if you were in a relationship with how would you cope with that sort of thing? Well,
yeah, I know now you're asking me for coping mechanisms.
No. I'm just saying
it's very challenging. It's very hard for the partner. It brings a lot of frustration, and then at some point you feel unseen, and then you start nagging, and their brain usually skips the whole process that leads to you nagging. Their brain just tells them, oh, this person is nagging. They don't see what was happening. They don't even remember why it's happening. They don't even think about this situation like that. So then it's just that the loop starts, that they become irritable. They become very easily angry at you. And then the fights will start. And then example, if you're a responsive person, like if you're also, because again, it depends on the type of ADHD. If there's so many people with ADHD in like adult ADHD that when they were teenagers, they had other similar disorders like conduct disorder, which is basically when you just enjoy being antisocial and enjoy being not being just avoidant to the rules, not obeying any rules. So if it's one of those people that have had the history of adolescence with a lot of conduct disorder, they're like, when they're adolescents, like legit, like explicitly, those are the type of people that enjoy putting something on fire and just go back and watch it burn. So they do the same thing in their relationship, in their personal relationship. They start poking you. They start provoking you with their language. And the smarter they are, the better they know how to provoke you. But it's just all unconscious. That's the difference between a person with narcissism and a person with ADHD. So if you're being provoked and if you feel like they're saying things that hurts, it's just because they don't have this sensor in the brain. Like they don't do this like prefrontal censorship of everything that just wants to be said, because they're so neurodivergent and so many things is happening in the brain that they just say it. So you feel provoked, you feel hurt, you feel like, oh my God, why did he or she said what they said? And then you will get angry, and then they will get angry because you are angry. So it's just like always some loop going on. But the smart thing is to just learn how to recognize those loops and learn how to work with those loops and learn that this is not coming from a bad place. This is coming from basically just a neurodevelopmental. Yeah, it's just a neurodevelopmental malfunctioning of the brain.
You are listening to Rosacast. Then there is also this tension between independence and dependency, whereas the partner is being dependent on the person, and then the ADHD person is like feeling that they're trapped in some sort of role.
They actually make you be dependent in a way.
Yeah.
Because it makes them secure. But then suddenly, because you're not the center of attention anymore and the attention has turned into other aspects of life, and then it's annoying. Then they're like, oh my God, this person is so dependent on me. This is annoying. It's just like, I need space. And you feel like they are being very easily and very fast angry at you. They're irritable all the time.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like it's the other thing would be feeling loved versus feeling that you're just a project to them. Like as the partner, you kind of feel like constantly you need to fix things and fix the problem and fix the relationship.
At some point
basically.
you feel like the whole relationship is on you.
Yeah, and
because
then,
they don't have motivation to work on it. To them, it's just a relationship is something that is there.
And then they kind of feel like they're always being corrected, or you're kind of trying to kind of control the situation, and they're not okay with that.
Yeah, because they don't see what was happening that led to that. Right. Mm-hmm. If you are I can't be a controlling person, but if you have the tendencies to be a controlling person, then you will have to just take over the relationship if you want to keep it in a way. And then you will get burnout. You will get exhausted because all the tasks, all the way from taking out the garbage to cleaning to having this organizing these social situations and inviting people and then cleaning after people. Everything is on you. Well, if there are kids, they will be even worse. Because they're just, they are busy with their own thoughts and their own words and the new addiction and the new priorities.
And then they kind of feel like there are burdens that they will end up like self-sabotage, do the self-sabotage with themselves.
It's another loop in their brain because they do because it's not like they're always these dark people, right? So they start sabotaging themselves for not being good enough, for not achieving anything, for not having any accomplishments in the, you see this, this relationship is also a failure. Because they just see that it's not working. They don't think about, what can I do to make it work? And then the brain starts to sabotage them in a way that, you see, you can never do anything good enough at this. And then because of the self-sabotage, they start having some coping mechanisms that they could be very unhealthy. Some of them start excessive masturbating. Some of them start a new hobby that it's an over focus on that hobby so that they can avoid any problems that comes from the relationship and other aspects of life. Like you see them at the gym 3 times a day suddenly. Or you see them working 12 hours a day.
Yeah, I would say over focusing on something.
Yeah, so they shut up the brain. Yeah, they shut up the brain, the self-sabotage and the sounds in the brain with another type of addiction or over focus seeing on something else. So it's just another loop that starts in the brain. I think it's very exhausting.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's really exhausting. But the thing is that even if even sometimes the love might be exhausting because they will kind of like
because they cannot execute anything in that relationship to show that they love even. You don't feel like the partner of the people with ADHD, they don't feel loved many situations in their relationships, but it might be that they are still loved, but it's just they're not the priority to be told to, or the partner with ADHD is forgetful about showing acts of love. But in like very bad cases, again, if they have this type of ADHD that comes with a lot of dark triad traits, and if they have this history of severe aggression when they were adolescents, and if they have, especially because they also tend to develop a lot of substance use problems because they are trying to make the brain shut up with inducing new needs for themselves, external needs, including addiction. And it could be behavioral addiction. It could be substance use. So if they get there, I lost the main point that I was trying to talk about. But yeah, so when they are focused on this new type of addiction and this substance, alcohol, other drugs to make the brain shut up and not talk anymore, then the partner is just basically there.
And I kind of feel like they can have like a exaggerated, maybe they will yell at you all of a sudden, and then they have all of this like emotions that will all of a sudden come
it's
out.
because they have a lot of emotion dysregulation problems.
Yeah.
They have a lot of problems with regulating their emotions. It's just, it's because they have, usually people with ADHD, there are people that it is a huge neurodevelopmental factor and a vast genetic factor and biological factor and inheritance when it comes to ADHD. It's so funny. I was doing this analysis to figure out the development of internalizing problems in children and adolescents at age 8 and 14 using genetic data. And it's just like, I would just think that, I don't know, the depression of the child, the genetic variation in the depression or genetic variation in the depression of the mother or the father would be the most important predictive factor for depression and anxiety in adolescents. But no, ADHD is genetic variation for having genes that are associated with developing ADHD are actually very important predictive factors of depression and anxiety in the children. So it's just so highly inherited. And you can look at it like that. What was it that you asked? You said something that I wanted to answer.
I said about once they're like having an argument, it can lead to this
this emotion regulation problem. Yeah. So you can look at it as this neurodevelopmental problem and this huge problem with the connection between the limbic system and amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, because they haven't learned how to regulate. They are not even in touch with their own emotions because they're always having so many thoughts all the time that it's just their brain trying to suppress themselves. Because it's very hard for them to be alone with themselves because they're attacked by thoughts. This is why they need a lot of stimulation all the time. They need new environments, or at some point they get they get this like sensory overload. They cannot handle a stimulation and stressors. So they need to go into this bubble of over focusing on something that it's not exhausting, like gaming, excessive gaming, for example. So it's just this always shifting between environments to find some type of peace. Even love for them is like the seek for peace, and this is the last love. This is. I'm sure this is the last person that I'm going to keep this relationship. But the problem is also this emotion regulation problems that they are children that usually they grow up in families that they have been trying to seek attention from everybody and they have been neglected in the family. So in a way, they are grown up in harsh environments and neglected environments where these ADHD traits are actually fed. So it's like bi-directional. You are born with some ADHD traits and genetic variations that are related to ADHD, and you're also growing up in a environment where these need for seeking attention and being the center of attention all the time, and need for being seen and need for stimulation is being fed because you're not seen.
And then this is like a constant labor of a reminder that you're kind of
the childhood.
No, as a partner, I meant like you need to always like remind them that, hey, I'm here, pay attention to me.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking about how they also need attention themselves. Because they have been neglected their whole life.
I get that, and they will receive that, but I don't necessarily feel like
I don't think at some point. No, at some point they will also stop receiving that, because when the partner is exhausted and the whole burden of the relationship, if you have this like motherhood, how do you say, like this nurturing, caretaking traits in yourself, usually women have it basically. So if you're that type of person, you will try to give them a lot of love and attention, but imagine you have oh my God, you have this like basket that you need to fill it in with love and attention and being wanted, so that you can give as a giver, as a caretaker, as a person with nurture in their nature. But when this basket is empty and you're exhausted and you're burnt out from the relationship, then you don't have to give them anything. You have nothing to give them. And that's when they start to get again irritable and angry at you. Why don't you see me? Why is it that you're not ready for me to jump up and down because I'm just in the mood to do it all of a sudden, you know? But
are you saying that they're going to project everything on you?
That's the thing. They just don't see what led to this. They just see this. And they don't think about solving this with a lot of effort, because persistency is not their best trait, right? They just think that if I delete this problem completely, make it vanish, everything will be better. And they tend to attribute everything to externalizing. They externalized, or how do you say external? Sorry. They tend to externalize. Yes, they do. But they also tend to attribute their failure and all the problems in the relationship and all the problems with them having accomplishments to environment and to external factors. For example, if they are not being good at keeping up with going for a run or keeping up with going to the gym, they attribute it to, oh my God, the gym being so far from me. So if there is this dynamic where there is a problem in the relationship, they just see you as the problem. And sometimes it's not about just leaving you and just, eliminating the relationship whole, but trying to use another type of behavior or hobby as somewhere to to seek asylum in something else, in excessive gaming, for example, as I said, or watching a lot of porn, thinking that, oh, my relationship is not working anymore, but I also don't want to leave. So I just have to make it work for myself, at least with another hobby or another way.
Yeah, you just mentioned like porn and all that things.
Or excessive masturbation, because they're also frustrated, right?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it will definitely will affect the intimacy of the relationship, because sex is also,
they have a lot of intimacy problems.
Yeah, because sex is also as we were listening to that sort of a podcast or whatever that was, it is an act. It is a task, I would say.
And
they're not good at like finishing a task. They do have like procrastination problems, and they do not want to do the job and finish the job. So I kind of feel like it will finish. It will have it will definitely have a lot of problems.
Yeah, they do have a lot of intimacy, like physical. Intimacy is a very big word to use, but like physical, being physically close for a long time in a stable long-term relationship. Because as you were saying, it's just like the task of having sex after 2 years of relationship. It's very demanding. Just like thinking that I still I don't want to objectify people, but I'm attracted to this object of love, at least that is in front of me. And it's very hard for them. Because then again, you're not this new stimulation. Even in normal men, they didn't control. Okay, let's say I was reading this study that they didn't control for, I don't know, like profile of ADHD or other disorders in men, but it was basically a evolutionary approach toward mating again that I was reading. It has been shown that men that are in long-term relationships, at some point of the relationship, they stop ejaculating a lot of sperms. Like the sperm count decreases in their ejaculation because the number of sperms are correlated with closely correlated with how much stimulation you have had
this.
how much you have been aroused in the beginning. So when you have these ADHD traits and you don't have that high level of stimulation and sexual arousal, and because these people with ADHD traits, unfortunately, they tend to get into habits of doing things that actually make it even worse. As I was saying, watching porn, excessive masturbation. Many of them have erectile problems, not erectile dysfunction, but because erectile dysfunction is mostly related to medical reasons, but I would say erectile problems because of how their brain works. So it's hard for them to keep on having sex with a long-term partner because it's just not that much arousal anymore. But it's not that hard for them to have short-term relationships and one-night stands and getting involved with the strangers because that's a lot of, it's excitement. They are, they have higher chances of getting STDs because they are more, because of this sensation seeking and this novelty seeking. It applies to sexual behaviors too, right? It's not about only other aspects of life.
One thing can lead to another.
Yeah, it's basically, how do you say, domino effect? And they
Domino
sometimes,
effect?
it's just really hard for them to stop it,
Yeah, I know.
They just push a bottom and then they're like, pushing all the bottoms. So it's just how it is. I feel sad now. I feel like I wouldn't give my depression away to gain ADHD.
No.
Yeah, I feel like I would choose my. I think you would choose your overthinking brain, and
I think maybe like 2 ADHD people would not that bad.
I don't know. I haven't seen literature on 2. No, I don't think so because it's actually very bad. Yeah. No. It's actually This is just my personal idea. Okay, imagine 2 irritable, impulsive, inattentive people being in a relationship. They just, at some point, they will start ignoring each other. And when I start, as a person with ADHD, I start poking you, right? And if you also are impulsive and inattentive and just you have this short temper and you're irritable, you will start reacting. And you will start throwing things at each other.
Oh God, that would be a lovely relationship.
That's just, I don't know, like 20 years ago in shitty Hollywood movies, we just see that's very sexy. Because again, this is this push and pull that they like, right? Dopamine goes down. Oh, now it's up. But then it's just very toxic.
Yeah.
Then they get exhausted of each other. And that's actually, I would say that those partners actually experience a lot of like intimate partner violence and it gets nasty. So no, that's my idea.
Yeah, then I kind of feel like it's
Papa, and they usually go for this caretaking type of people because they have been neglected as children. They need a lot of attention and love and this motherly feeling.
So, yeah, but then it will backfire because they will end up.
Yeah, it is. It will backfire unless you decide to do something about it. If you don't do anything about it and if you just don't see what's leading to this and if you just go with this is how like 90% of us are like this. Change is painful, so we just go with the with the childhood manuscript in a way. We don't want to update the manuscript. So but I know people with ADHD that my very first boyfriend of 10 years ago, he still has ADHD, still has a lot of problems with the up and downs in dopamine, but he has a very beautiful, at least in my eyes and in his eyes, a romantic relationship with his girlfriend now. They have been together for like 3 years.
So now. He has figured out a way to cope with it, and they're open to change. And they're very like aware of the situation.
Yeah, both of them are extremely aware. He's extremely aware because he's a psychologist now.
That's why.
Yeah. So he had a huge turning point in his life and he matured and he started to just see his own patterns and he knew, but I mean, the reason why we broke up was that he was being focused on cheating all the time. Like that was his new way of being. He just explored that, oh, I can be with everybody. And I think the main drive, given that I don't think he has any basically dark triad traits, I think the main drive was just this novelty seeking and this sensation seeking, that it's the main criteria of dopamine release, and dopamine release is the main problem in ADHD. So that was the problem with him. But now that after 10 years, now he's older and now it's his job basically. So he knows how to take control of it. He knows how to focus on this person only.
I kind of feel like when we were young, we didn't know how and why was this cheating things, and what was the reasons behind it.
I'm just not pretty anymore.
But then once you know the reason behind all of this, it will makes it so much easier to grasp, and then it will kind of like make sense in a way. And then right now, if for example something happens to me, and then you will come to me and say, yeah, that person had ADHD, I would say, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then it will make it easier to cope.
Yeah, I think overall, when we understand what is making people suffer, we will develop a lot of empathy for people. Otherwise, if we just don't think about what they're dealing with and just jump into the conclusion that this person was an asshole, then we will turn into self-centered bitches because we just don't want to understand.
Yeah.
We are defensive to understanding. Yeah. And it makes us also suffer less. Like if somebody is bad to me for any reason, bad in quotation mark, I never attribute it to them being bad people. I have a lot of hypotheses in my brain in the beginning. Oh, they're having a bad day. Oh, it's just because they're just like me. Oh, today it's I don't know, it's just not a good day for them. Then I go all the way to, if I see consistency in a behavior over very long course of time, then I would be like, oh, okay, so this is just, it comes from this place of this problem, this disorder, this trait. Yeah.
This childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Maybe. Sometimes. Yeah, I do understand that. Yeah. That was all of my points for today.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting, and we talked about a lot of stuff. Do you have any other points?
No, I have to go grocery shopping before they close.
Nice. Yeah, well, I have to say thank you for this episode. I am very satisfied.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Satisfaction.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like we're.
What was the song? Satisfaction. Some type of.
It's very vague. I don't know. Like it can be a lot of things.
Satisfaction. Oh. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Good for you being satisfied. I'm happy to satisfy you.
Yeah. And it will be determined by the listeners and the viewers in YouTube, that if they want us to continue on this topic or if we want to go on a different route or direction. But anyways, this was all for today. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We have a Razucast in YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts for now, of course.
And we have 2 playlists.
Yeah, and
now
we have and we have 2 playlists, as we are Persians. We have a Persian podcast, and we have a English podcast starting from this episode. So once you go to the YouTube channel, you will see 2 podcasts. And thank you so much for everyone. And I hope you have a great day/night whenever you are. And peace out from me.
Peace out.